Hey, thanks for joining me on the river today. I would love to talk about ADHD and Asperger's and trauma, and why trauma is often the secret weapon in your treatment that maybe most of us haven't tried. So first, my name is Alina Kislenko. I am a registered psychotherapist specializing in ADHD and Asperger's, and I have ADHD and Asperger's myself, so let's jump in. Okay, so first, and by the way, thanks for joining me on the kayak on the beautiful river here. So, first of all, I have so many clients, especially over the last 10 years that I've worked with neurodiversity. They come to me and they're like, hey, give me some strategies. I need some strategies that will work. And at first, that's what I did. I was like, great, oh my goodness, how can I help you, with strategies? What kind would you like? What feels important to you around that? And so we would try it. We'd use strategies for all kinds of things. Study strategies, we'd use study strategies, we'd use strategies for relationships, we'd use strategies for waking up in the morning, all sorts of things. And doing these strategies, I was finding we were running into some problems. I'd throw out the strategies, some stuff that had worked amazingly for me and a lot of other clients, and then they'd try it, but they'd come back and they'd be like, oh, it didn't work. And I'd be like, what happened? They would have often tried it about half-assed, so only about half the strategy or only one time or something like that, and decided it doesn't work because their base belief was that nothing at all was ever going to work. So that was the trauma component that we were working with, okay? And so for a long time I wondered kind of what was going on. Was I not sharing things right? Was it not the right strategy? And then I realized that whatever strategy it was, they just weren't reliably trying it. And what I realized was, in order to have ADHD or Asperger's strategies work, you have to try them more than once. You have to make them your own. You have to find all these gadgets and things to help you keep those strategies, keep trying them, and eventually, after trying them maybe 20 times, one strategy, you'll find your own way that completely works for you, and it could be the strategy that saves your life. Unless there's this one very important variable, and that is trauma. So once there's trauma, good luck. And so what we started realizing at the ADHD and Asperger's Center was it wasn't the lack of strategies that was blocking us. I mean, that certainly got in the way. If you're using neurotypical strategies like normal people, strategies for ourselves, no, it didn't work with my ADHD and Asperger's and doesn't work with most people's. What actually was at the core of it is trauma. It's the belief that there's no point in trying. I'm a failure. Whatever I do will be a failure. And kind of the belief that is at the bottom of this is that I'm good for nothing, and there's no point in investing in myself. There's no point in trying. So we at the center devised a new thing called the ADHD and Asperger's trauma model. So it's specifically a trauma model that I found works really, really well for us. And it's essentially this 5-step process that helps us revisit all the stories that we put on ourselves with our failures and everything from childhood and onwards. So there was a lot of things that we would do where we would try our best and it wouldn't work. Maybe we didn't have the right strategies, whatever. And then it built this belief in ourselves that we're no good. There's no point in investing ourselves. Everyone else is right, kind of thing. So, and then we found that after doing this trauma process with people, and I'd say a lot of trauma processing is similar. Ours is specifically for the ADHD and Asperger's brain, but much trauma processing can really help. And it's hard work, and it doesn't feel like it's gonna solve your study issues or why your house is messy. But at the core, it really, 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 really does. And once we did it with people, it was like night and day. All of a sudden we'd like, here, try this strategy. And they'd be like, you know what, I don't even need the strategy. I just Googled the strategy last night and I already fixed my problem. And we'd be like, oh my God, that's so exciting. There's nothing better for a therapist like me when you're just like, oh my God, you solved your own problem. This is so exciting, Anywho, so I guess long story short, we're swimming back into the bushes. And long story short, we found that trauma processing was a really big help, and that afterwards people were just solving their own problems. It's kind of like, if I can use what's happening to me right now as a metaphor, it's kind of like I was trying to solve my problems, or kayak, with a bunch of bushes and stuff and trees holding me back. And so no matter where I tried to move, I was just attached to all these things kind of grabbing at me and keeping me there. Versus when I removed those things that were holding me back, those really negative thought processes, those negative thoughts that I had about myself, and then tried the strategies, or tried moving my boat, essentially. There we go, making progress, right? But not if you're caught up in the trees holding you back. So I really recommend for anybody with ADHD and Asperger's. It doesn't have to be our model for sure, but go do trauma processing. It's often the missing mystery step. Most research is starting to figure it out, but a lot of strategies don't include the trauma component. So, I mean, I went before I had things that really started working for me, I went to therapy for years, and a lot of it was doing trauma processing. And now, I mean, when I have an issue in my life connected to ADHD and Asperger's, like no problem. It's like 3 seconds, I'll Google it. I already know so much about myself. There's no, vines holding me back. And then boom, solving my problems. So I wish that for you as well. And that's what we do at the center now. Now when we kind of throw somebody a strategy, here, try this out. They come back, go, oh, I tried it once and it worked for me. We go, okay, there's probably self-sabotage here. And so there we go. We do the trauma process and all of a sudden they solved everything themselves. So that's just a joy that we've learned here at the center, and hopefully that can be of help to you. Thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Alina Koslenko. I'm a registered psychotherapist up in Canada, and my website's ADHDInterrupted.com. Thanks.